Advertising is the foundation of the mass media. The primary purpose of the mass media is to sell products. Advertising does sell products, of course, but it also sells a great deal more than products. It sells values, it sells images, it sells concepts of love and sexuality, of romance, of success, and perhaps most important, of normalcy. To a great extent, advertising tells us who we are and who we should be. What does advertising tell us today about women? It tells us, just as it did 10 and 20 and 30 years ago, that what's most important about women is how we look. The first thing the advertisers do is surround us with the image of ideal female beauty. So we all learn how important it is for a woman to be beautiful and exactly what it takes. Women learn from a very early age that we must spend enormous amounts of time, energy, and above all, money, striving to achieve this ideal and feeling ashamed and guilty when we fail. And failure is inevitable because the ideal is based on absolute flawlessness. She never has any lines or wrinkles. She certainly has no scars or blemishes. Indeed, she has no pores. And yet we all learn very early on that our breasts are never okay the way they are. Your breasts may be too big, too saggy, too pert, too flat, too full, too far apart, too close together, too A-cup, too lopsided, too jiggly, too pale, too padded, too pointy, too pendulous, or just too mosquito bites. But with depth styling products, at least you can have your hair the way you want it. Men's bodies are rarely dismembered in advertising, more than they used to be. But this ad was so shocking that the ad itself got national media coverage. Reporters called me up from all around the country and said, "Look, they're doing the same thing to men they've always done to women." Well, not quite. They'd be doing the same thing to men they've always done to women if there were copy that went with this ad that went like this. Your penis may be too small, too droopy, too limp, too lopsided. Too narrow, too fat, too jiggly. Too pale, too pointy, too blunt, or just 2 inches. And believe me, this is not the kind of equality I'm fighting for. I don't want them to do this to men any more than I do to women. But I think we can learn something from these 2 ads, one of which did happen and one of which never would. And what they show us very vividly is that men and women inhabit very different worlds. Men basically don't live in a world in which their bodies are routinely scrutinized, criticized, and judged, whereas women do. Now, this doesn't mean that there aren't stereotypes that harm men. There are plenty of stereotypes that harm men, but they tend to be less intimate, less related to the body. It's all probably summed up by this classic, "A carat or more when a man's achievement becomes a woman's good fortune." So the idea that women are just gold diggers, as in this Winston ad featuring this old man and young bride, "She's after my money like I care." A much more serious problem for men is that masculinity is so often linked with violence, with brutality, with ruthlessness. Boys grow up in a culture in which men are constantly shown as perpetrators of violence. And talking, communicating, is so often seen in our culture as a weakness in men. Do you want to be the one she tells her deep, dark secret to, or do you want to be her deep, dark secret? Well, there's no question, of course, but that men should aspire to be the deep, dark secret. The body language of girls and young women is usually passive, vulnerable, get used, and very different from the body language of boys and men. So we have women typically posed like this, and men like this. A woman like this, a man like this. And this starts so early. Look at this double-page spread from Calvin Klein, the incredible difference. All of the ads in the March 1999 issues of 2 progressive parenting magazines featured active boys and passive girls, all of them. An ad featuring a boy, an ad featuring a girl, a boy, active, exploring the world, a girl, trying on lipstick. This ad always makes me sad. I look at it and I see that the boy is already learning to look tough, to have that look of contempt. The girl has already got the smile down pat. Now, I have scores of these ads, too, and they're always the same. The boy is taller, the boy is looking down at the girl is looking up, the girl is smiling, always the same, unless race enters the picture, and then it's reversed, which makes it very clear that this is about power. And women's bodies are still, in fact, perhaps more than ever, turned into objects, into things. And of course, this has very serious consequences. For one thing, it creates a climate in which there's widespread and increasing violence against women. Here she's become the bottle of alcohol with a label branded on her stomach. Now, I'm not at all saying that an ad like this directly causes violence. It's not that simple. But it is part of a cultural climate in which women are seen as things, as objects. And certainly turning a human being into a thing is almost always the first step toward justifying violence against that person. We see this with racism, we see it with homophobia. It's always the same process. We think of the person as less than human, and violence becomes inevitable. Now, this is a problem for all women, of course, but particularly women of color, who are often literally shown as animals, dressed in leopard skins, in animal prints. Over and over again, the real message is not fully human. And there seems to be more of this than ever before. More ads that imply that women want to be forced to have sex. An ad for a perfume called Fetish, and the copy says, "Apply generously to your neck so he can smell the scent as you shake your head no." Making it very clear that we don't mean it when we say no, that she's, again, asking for it. We need to get involved in whatever way moves us to change not just the ads, but these attitudes that run so deep in our culture and that affect each one of us so deeply, whether we're conscious of it or not. Because what's at stake for all of us, men and women, boys and girls, is our ability to have authentic and freely chosen lives, nothing less.